Oh, yeah. Oh, poor opponent. Poor opponent. Oh, this is not what you want to see. Whiffing with your freebooter. I've got a Steel Overseer with 3, 4, 5, 7 creatures. Oh no, opponent. I'm so sorry. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another modern video here on the channel. Today we are going to be playing with Artifact, Affinity Blast, whatever. Doesn't really have a good name yet. It was recently, there was a video on it by Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, on his channel. I did make a couple changes to the deck, but the core concept is still from him, so all credit to him. Be sure to check out that video if you want a little bit more information on the deck. But I have made a couple changes, and there will be a link to that in the description down below. But first, we're going to do a quick deck tech, then we're going to take it through a league and see how the deck performs. So we're going to start with the namesake card, Shrapnel Blast, and Galvanic Blast. That's why it's called Affinity Blast. That's a good name for it, Affinity Blast. Okay, so Shrapnel Blast is a very powerful card. You pay 2 mana to deal 5 damage to any target, so that can include the opponent. And so the core concept of this deck is that you're playing an aggressive artifact-based deck that can leverage the power of Shrapnel Blast. So you don't have to get your opponent all the way to 0. You can get them to maybe even 10 if you draw 2 Shrapnel Blasts, and then you can just get them out of nowhere in essence. Galvanic Blast, another very efficient card, 1 mana to deal 4 damage, so it's even better than Lightning Bolt if you can build your deck in a way to support it. So those are the two big reasons that we're mono red and how this deck has some power over other decks in the format. Going over the land base, we do have Darksteel Citadel as an artifact land, which is pretty powerful because it can help be sacrificed to Shrapnel Blast, and it can also be part of the metal craft for this card. Blinkmoth Nexus can be an artifact in a pinch. You can activate it to make it an artifact if you need an extra artifact for your metal craft for Galvanic Blast, but it can also just chip in for some damage. Then we have a bunch of mountains, and then an Inventor's Fair for if we're playing in another aggressive deck. It can just gain us a couple points of life because we do have a lot of artifacts. Coming in at the 1 mana slot, we have Memnite and Ornithopter. Memnite, of course, being a 0 mana 1/1, Ornithopter being a 0 mana 0/2 with flying. Basically, these are here for several reasons. First of all, they help power up our Springleaf Drum. So Springleaf Drum is a 1 mana artifact where we can tap an untapped creature we control to add 1 mana of any color. And that works really well with Ornithopter and Memnite because on the first turn of the game, we can potentially go something like Mountain, Springleaf Drum, Ornithopter, use Ornithopter to Mega Mana with Springleaf Drum, and then cast something like one of our 1-drops. We do have quite a few 1-drops. This is actually going to be put in the 1-drop slot as well. So that's part of the benefit. They also just up our artifact count for our various payoffs. At the 1-drop slot, we have several. We have 3 Arcbound Workers. It is our worst 1-drop, but it does have some utility. It's a 1 mana 1/1 essentially because it has modular, which means it comes in with a counter, and when it dies, it can put the counter somewhere else. So it is not the greatest, but it is an artifact. It is a 1-drop, and it can start us off rolling because we do really want to hit a 1-drop on turn 1. Bowmat Courier is a pretty decent 1-drop. It can get in. Sometimes it can just run away with the game on its own. Usually it'll eat a removal spell, which is pretty good in this deck because we have a lot of high priority creatures, so eventually they'll run out of removal. And I think this version versus Saffron Olive's version, because of some changes that I've made, this version's going to care more about having important creatures on the battlefield. Signal Pest, really good in this type of deck. It works nicely with Ornithopter and Memnite because you can potentially get an Ornithopter into play alongside Signal Pest and then start getting in for damage early on in the game. Signal Pest, really, really nice. It also works well with Cranial Plating, which is another payoff that I'll get to in a minute. Vault Scourge, just a 1 mana. Pretty much we're always using the Phyrexia mana. We can make black mana with Springleaf Drum, so keep that in mind for the late game if you are against another aggressive deck and the life points matter. But usually we're just casting this as a 1 mana 1/1 flying lifelink, which is pretty nice. So those are the 1-drops. And the 2-drops are really where the payoffs come into play and really where the big change comes in because I added Steel Overseer to the deck because on Magic Online, Steel Overseer is quite cheap. It is one ticket or which is equivalent of $1 for a Steel Overseer. Obviously, Saffron Olive was doing a budget deck tech, so he used Ghost Fireblade instead of Steel Overseer. But I think Steel Overseer is just quite strong, and it's better than Ghost Fireblade for a variety of reasons. But if you are on a budget, I'll pull up Ghost Fireblade. Basically, Ghost Fireblade is this equipment. Equip creature gets +2/+2. It costs 1 to equip if the creature's colorless. Notably, it doesn't work with Vault Scourge because of the way Phyrexia mana works, but Ghost Fireblade is a nice substitute. It costs pennies if you can't afford Steel Overseer or you're planning to build this deck in paper. Basically, yeah, just replace Steel Overseers with Ghost Fireblades, maybe add an extra Arcbound Worker, and you're good. But Steel Overseer is quite nice. It's just a must-kill threat because all of your creatures are artifact creatures, so it'll just run away with the game on its own if they don't kill it immediately. And some decks don't have kill spells in them, like combo decks, so Steel Overseer can really help you goldfish faster. Goldfishing is a term for when your opponent's not interacting with you, how fast you can kill them. So Steel Overseer can just run away with the game. And then our other payoff is Cranial Plating. We have a ton of artifacts in the deck. All of our creatures wear this really well. Ornithopter is another one that wears it really nicely. So Cranial Plating is nice. It's just a really good payoff for having so many artifacts in the deck. Moving on to the sideboard. Let's pull this over here so you can see it. Our sideboard is pretty straightforward. I made a couple, like one change from Saffron Olive's sideboard. I cut the Alpine Moon. I don't think Alpine Moon is a very good sideboard card in this deck because a lot of the time you'd want to cast it on turn 1 when you don't have uses for your mana, and we only have 8 red sources on turn 1. I'm not really including the Springleaf Drums in that, but I just don't think Alpine Moon is like that good, so I just added another Etched Champion. But I'll go through the sideboard here. Tormod's Crypt, pretty much for Dredge, graveyard decks. You only really want to bring in Tormod's Crypt if the deck like is really reliant on the graveyard, like a Dredge deck, but Tormod's Crypt can definitely answer graveyard decks really well. Welding Jar is a card that I think is quite nice in the sideboard because a lot of the time in the main deck, they won't have ways to interact with artifacts, but after sideboard, they'll bring in some artifact hate. And Welding Jar works really nicely with cards like Steel Overseer, like Cranial Plating, your really big payoffs. So I really think that siding in Welding Jar in many matchups is probably correct. If you think they might have artifact kill spells, probably for something that's pretty low impact, like an Ornithopter or a Memnite, depending on whether you think which one's going to be better. Damping Sphere is for Tron and Storm. Etched Champion is just for like grindy decks. It is very expensive, so you have to make sure that it's going to be good in the matchup because 3 mana is kind of hard for this deck to get to. Gear per Ether Grid is for if we think the deck might bring in Stony Silence and is like a slower deck because it can shut down Cranial Plating and our Steel Overseer a little bit. The Stony Silence can, and then Gear per Ether Grid can make sure they're still useful. Whip Flare is just a really nice board sweeper because it doesn't kill any of our creatures, but it can kill a bunch of the opponent's creatures. So if there's a deck that has a bunch of small creatures, Whip Flare can get the job done, and then Smash Smithereens for other artifact decks. But anyway, that is going to do it for the deck tech. If you have any questions, be sure to leave those in the comment section down below, and I hope you'll stay with me for the matches. Hello, and welcome to round 1 here with Affinity Blast in Modern. We lost the die roll, so we're just waiting for our opponent to decide whether or not to keep, or whether they want to go first or something. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to play the deck. I did do a practice match, but there's definitely the deck isn't super complex to play, so it's nice for newer players. It's also like really a nice like starting point because it's got some synergy involved, and I think it's a really cool deck as well. It's really fun to play, yeah, I like this type of deck. Because I enjoy artifact decks in general. Like in Pauper, I play Affinity. That's like my most played deck. Because it's just really cool to like explode out of the gates, get out to a fast start. There's just a lot of benefits, both strategically and from a fun perspective. Because like strategically, you're getting a lot of value. Oh, whew. This hand is interesting. And I'll just finish this out. So strategically, you're getting a lot of value because it can punish slower starts from a lot of decks. Cranial Plating could be really good. I'm going to keep this hand. Again, when I'm less familiar with a deck, or this isn't just my philosophy, this is a philosophy that I like hear from pros all the time. When you're less familiar with a deck, keeping like hands like this helps you learn a lot more. So hopefully we can learn together what type of hands are the best. But this hand like definitely can get brick walled by a 2/2. Pretty easily, but if we do hit our second land, Cranial Plating is going to be absolutely monstrous this game. We're going to have a bunch of creatures in play by turn 2. One little pro tip is you don't really want to play Ornithopter until you like have a reason to. The other cards you can, like Memnites, because they can actually attack for damage, but Ornithopter doesn't really attack for damage on its own. So a lot of the time, because it costs 0, it doesn't mean that you want. It means you don't want to play it immediately on turn 1. Looks like the opponent is a bit of a slow player, which could be a problem. It's a little bit annoying to make content against a slow player, just because like I want to be getting my stuff done and going through the turns. Ooh, he's playing. Looks like a bit of an aggressive deck. Vault Scourge should deal with that nicely. Maybe I'll be pointing Galvanic Blast at one of his creatures. You never know. Perfect. That was such a good draw. We're going to be starting things off with a basic mountain. Playing the Vault Scourge. And we are going to play the Ornithopter because it could potentially block something. And there's not really a reason to hold it at this point. He's not going to have a board sweeper or something like that. So that looked like he had a Searing Blaze. That's like what land tapped both cards. Searing Blaze, for those who are unfamiliar with Modern, is a red-red spell that does 3 damage to a creature and 3 damage to a player. We're definitely not going to block. We would play like Ornithopter for blocking purposes in case he had like Monastery Swiftspear into Monastery Swiftspear. Runaway Steamkin, eh? Okay. Interesting. Okie doke. So I think we are just going to kill the Steamkin. It is a bit scary. And we are going to be chipping back for life here. This card can just maybe fuel some pretty broken things. There is also the consideration of just playing Cranial Plating, because Cranial Plating is going to do good work, equipped to a Vault Scourge. If I draw a land, I can play Cranial Plating and equip in the same turn. But I do only have 15 lands left in my deck. So it's actually a really interesting turn. The thing with aggro decks and decks that play quick games in general is you really need to think about each decision because you have less decisions to make overall, which makes each of them more important. So the 2 lines here are play Cranial Plating, attack with everything except Ornithopter, or play Bowmat Courier, Galvanic Blast, Steamkin. I'm leaning towards that being better because I don't know why exactly. I think that feels better to me because Steamkin is like a scary card, but Galvanic Blast can answer it next turn. He's probably going to make this, let's just say he plays 2 bolts next turn. Cranial Plating line seems to be better only if Vault Scourge lives. But it'll put a mark on Vault Scourge's head. I think I'm going to go with the Bowmat Courier line. I think it'll work out better for me overall. It also gets another card under Bowmat Courier, which is helpful. But yeah, that was a pretty close decision because if there is just too many ifs involved for me there. Also, the line of playing Cranial Plating is only better if Vault Scourge lives and yeah, it looks like his deck is built around Runaway Steamkin. It's only better if Vault Scourge lives and I don't draw a land on my next turn and like he doesn't pop off with Runaway Steamkin and just do a ton of crazy things because like Tormenting Voice says to me that Runaway Steamkin is an important part of his strategy. Okay, so it worked out really nicely, I think, the way I played it. So that's a little bit less fortunate, but just going to keep chipping away. The Cranial Plating. So, yeah. It looks like he didn't have a kill spell necessarily. Maybe he just has a normal Lightning Bolt, though. Tormenting Voice again. I think I might just consider chumping with Ornithopter at a certain point, unless he taps out. If he taps out, then I won't chump, because that means I can just get in for a big Vault Scourge hit. But hopefully he doesn't kill my Vault Scourge. Yeah, it looks like his deck is built around Runaway Steamkin, so killing that was pretty big. Like, oh yeah. He would have had a great turn, I think, if I hadn't killed that. Seeing his deck composition, Runaway Steamkin seems like an important part of the deck. I know that there's like a deck that's been played at some events now, I think. It's called like Runaway Red or something. Oh yeah, his Arcfoot like Phoenix too. Yeah. But okay. let's see. So he's hitting me for 4. He's not threatening any extra damage other than like a gut shot maybe, but that would only be 2 extra damage. So next turn, if I go equip to this guy, attack, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lifelink. So jumping here saves me 4 damage, but it'll gain me 1 next turn, and I can jump in front of that next turn. And this is going to be 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm not going to jump. Okay. That's a good draw. Go to this guy. I can now fire up Blinkmoth Nexus. That was another really... So it's 7, 8, 9, 10. But if I equip this, it's another artifact, so that's 11, and it's attacking for 1. So that's 12 exactly. So now he has to block Vault Scourge, which is good for me. So this is 1, 2, 1, 9, 10, 11, 12. So me not jumping with Ornithopter sets up this lethal attack where he can't just eat one of my creatures. He has to trade with Vault Scourge. And I'm definitely putting it on the Vault Scourge, even though the Phoenix has a chance of coming back, because next turn I'm going to be able to like crack Bomat Courier. So I'm not like feeling like I'm going to run out of cards, and I just have a lot of life points to work with now. Okay, so hopefully he can't bring back Phoenix this turn. If he can, it's going to be a little bit rougher for me, but still not the end of the world by any means. If I draw a land, I can put on a second Cranial Plating. Otherwise, I can like threaten to sacrifice Bomat Courier. Okay. I think I might just equip up the Ornithopter too. That's another benefit. So he's got a Bedlam Reveler. Things are looking good for him. I mean, relative to how things could have been looking for him. Overall, I still think I'm in good shape. I can Blinkmoth Nexus, activate, put on Cranial Plating on the Ornithopter, kill him if he doesn't have a removal spell, or get back the Arclight Phoenix. Because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 artifacts. I guess that's 1 damage short, but then one of these guys will get in for damage. So hopefully he taps out and I can just do all this in a vacuum. This deck definitely runs Lightning Bolt because it runs Lava Spike. So if you see Lava Spike in a deck, you know that they run Lightning Bolt because there's no reason to run Lava Spike over Lightning Bolt. Okay, Monastery Swiftspear. And he's holding up 2 mana, so he probably has a Lightning Bolt at this point. He's going to run 4 copies. He's already almost halfway through his deck, so I'm just going to assume he has a Lightning Bolt and try to play around that if I can. Okay, Signal Pest. So I don't want to play this second Cranial Plating because it just doesn't do anything compared to the first one because I don't have the mana to equip it this turn. So this turn, I think that the best line is to force out his Lightning Bolt with my Ornithopter, draw all these extra cards with Bomat Courier, and then go from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Cranial Plating. And remember, I do have a lot of burn spells in my deck, so there is some thought to using the Blinkmoth Nexus. I think I'm going to do that. So I'm going to use the Nexus to equip here. Then I'm going to play a Signal Pest, because that is a pretty good card, because it lets me attack through Monastery Swiftspears. Then I'm going to attack with both these guys, sacrifice that to draw 4 cards. And it looks like he might not have a Lightning Bolt, which is pretty strange, to be quite honest. Which means that I just assumed he had a Lightning Bolt, which maybe was incorrect. But the fact that he didn't have a Lightning Bolt is still fine. I'm just going to deploy as many blockers as I can because I have him dead next turn no matter what. So I'm just going to make sure I don't die. If I'd known he didn't have Lightning Bolt, I probably could have killed him by firing up the Blinkmoth Nexus. And attacking with everything. But that's a bit riskier. Okay, so he's just going to go for a big turn here. And I just have to survive because Shrapnel Blast is going to be lethal. He doesn't have any counter spells or life gain or anything like that. So I just have to make sure I don't die here. I'm definitely chumping with everything. And yeah. I think ditching the second cranial plating there is definitely correct. Okay, so he has another Arclight Phoenix in the graveyard. No, he has 3 Arclight Phoenixes in the graveyard. No! Am I going to lose to quadruple Arclight Phoenix into Lightning Bolt? That's the only way I lose this game. I can block everything on the ground. Oh my gosh. You've got to be kidding me. Please no. Oh no! Now I'm worried about losing. He only has 2 cards in hand. They have to be 2 spells. If he goes like bolt your face, I die. Oh my gosh. This game went from like, oh, I can't possibly lose, to, oh, dear. Oh, dear. Now I'm scared. I'm scared. Please, no. Opponent, don't leave me in suspense like this. Okay, so he can't get back the Arclight Phoenixes. That's good. Is there any spell he could play that gives trample? I mean, I might as well throw an extra guy here. Because I can literally just sacrifice the Darksteel Citadel. I'm just going to put every guy in front of there. Soak up any potential trample damage. My Ornithopter is still lethal this way, so like, you know, I might not even have to show Shrapnel Blast. We're just going to hit him. Yay, we got it done. Okay, so against Burn, what do I want? This is the type of matchup where Whip Flare can really shine because it can take out all of his Arclight Phoenixes, all of his Swift Spears. So I think I'm going to bring in Whip Flare. Don't want Smash, don't want Tormod's Crypt. Tormod's Crypt can take out Arclight Phoenix permanently and make Bedlam Reveler impossible to cast. Maybe I want some number. I definitely don't want the full 4. We'll see. Etched Champion, no. It's just, you only really want this in like removal heavy matchups where they're not going to be able to deal with it. And it's just because it's very expensive. Like, it can chump for days, but like, it's only a 2/2. This can stop them from bringing back Arclight Phoenixes, but it's not really what I want in this matchup. Welding Jar could be a consideration. Ether Grid, no. The Welding Jar, because they could have like burn spells. So I'm actually just going to put all these guys here. Let's just assume these are the cards I want to bring in. Which cards seem weak in the matchup? I always look in like to shave on Arcbound Workers because that's like one of my weakest cards. Ornithopter seems fine. Memnite seems quite like mediocre, so maybe we could shave 2 of those. Ornithopter is a little bit better, I think, because the flying is more relevant. Memnite doesn't seem like it's going to be able to attack all that often into Swift Spears and stuff. Maybe could shave 1 Overseer because he might have a lot of removal, but I still don't think that's really even necessarily correct. I don't want to raise my curve too much. So let's see. These are like the considerations. I really want to bring in Whip Flare. I think Whip Flare is going to be good. And Bomat Courier is not the greatest on the draw. So maybe I could consider like shaving 2 Bomats, 2 Workers, 2 Memnites. Make my deck a little bit creature lighter on creatures, but you don't want to cut into the core too much. Vault Scourge could be really key in this matchup. So let's just side in. Let's side out. Side into Whip Flares and 2 Welding Jars. We're not going to care too much about his graveyard. Let's just ignore the graveyard aspect of it. Yeah, we're just going to side in like that. Take out 2 Memnites and Unscientific, as Reed Duke would say, but we're going to just take out 1 of each. I don't think Tormod's Crypt does enough necessarily here. Okay, so this is a very medium hand, but we're going to keep it. Yeah, it's not the greatest for sure, but it can do some stuff early in the game. It's got an early cranial plating. Doesn't have a good way to protect it, but got some good tools for sure. Springleaf Drum, Ornithopter. If I had more stuff to do, then this hand would, like if I'd drawn a 1-drop there, I would have been really good, but I don't know. Keeping a 3-lander is definitely sketchy. But Cranial Plating with double Dark Steel Citadel is nice. And I want to be careful. I don't want to go for a Galvanic Blast here on Swiftspear unless he's tapped out. Because if he kills Ornithopter in response, then I go below the 3 artifacts needed for Metalcraft, and it just does 2 damage, and this will get a Prowess trigger. So he's going to... Let's actually kill the Swiftspear. It might seem weird, but judging by my hand, I don't have anything going on, and Swiftspear is going to hit me for like 7 damage or 8 damage over the course of this game. We're not going to equip it quite yet. We're just going to hold up Galvanic Blast. Maybe I don't think Tormod's Crypt would be great in this game necessarily. I mean, he does already have an Arclight Phoenix, but that's really the only card that I'm getting a ton of value out of Tormod's Crypting him. Here we see why I didn't immediately equip. I actually get to block for damage here. And I am going to kill the other Swiftspear. It might seem weird, but I am kind of just mitigating damage here. And then all of my creatures are going to be huge thanks to the Cranial Plating. Perfect. Play the Arcbound Worker. Equip to this guy. Hit him for 6. That's the beauty of equipments. Equip to this guy. Now I can trade with the Swiftspear. Things are looking good. I think using the Galvanic Blast on his creatures was actually pretty nice, because otherwise I'd be at like a much lower life total, I think, because the other Swiftspear would have hit me a couple times. Manamorphose, sure. Means he's probably going to bring back Arclight Phoenix this turn. Like, that's what he's going for. What's he bolting? He's bolting the Ornithopter. Okay. Unfortunate, but it happens. Oh, and there goes my Arcbound Worker. Oh dear. And the Phoenix is coming back. So I knew he had lightning bolts, so I called that. I mean, that's not hard to call, but got him. But yeah, things are looking grim now. And we'll scoop it up. That was a pretty poor draw. We drew 5 lands. We don't run all that many. And yeah. Let's see. Memnite, Bomat Courier. Bomat Courier is definitely coming back in on the play. Bring in the Bomat Courier. How good is Welding Jar? I still think it's probably pretty good. Can protect a Steel Overseer. Overseer is definitely better on the play. I could have probably shaved some on the draw. Whip Flare is going to be good. Let's just... So now we have that many creatures. Huh. Just cut an... We're going to keep them in. We're going to cut an Arcbound Worker. We're going to have enough creatures, I think. I think the Welding Jar is going to be good to protect Steel Overseers and stuff. That's like the consideration, is Welding Jar versus creatures. This is the type of hand that I can actually keep, thanks to my... No, I can't. I don't have a land. For some reason, I thought I could cast this. Never mind. I can't keep this. Obviously, mulligan. We can keep this hand. It's really bad, though. I don't think this hand really has the tools to win. This hand can definitely win if it draws a Steel Overseer. But it also needs a land to cast it. We're going to mulligan that. Going to mulligan. And I guess we'll We don't have any lands. Okay, we have lands now. And we'll keep that. That's actually like the best draw we could possibly have. No joke, because that card can actually get us back into the game. He's going to obviously try and kill it with lightning bolts. And the fact that he held up mana this turn makes me not optimistic. Whoa, it lived. We're in the game, folks. Heart of the cards. He kept a 7-card hand without a lightning bolt. We're in it. Okay, so a sphere. Sure. Do I want to cash in the Bomat to draw 2? I think so. Let's see if he blocks. Clever opponent. Too clever. Okay, we're still in the game. Not much, but Whip Player could potentially kill like 5 Monastery Swiftspears. He doesn't even have 5, but that's our hope. Okay. Gonna get a nice 2-for-1 here. Whoo, we got him. Nice. If we win on a mulligan to 3 in Modern, oh my gosh. That would be a true testament. I mean, if we just didn't draw any of our lands in our opening hands, so there wasn't a ton we could do. Okay, so now things are going to go crazy from his perspective. Though he doesn't have anything to do with 2 mana, which is weird. Hitting that extra life point. I think we are going to play the land. There's not really much we'd be bluffing here. And it's not like he's going to cast an Inquisition of Kozilek. Oh no. Yep, this is where things go downhill for me. Very quickly. I'm definitely glad I don't have Tormod's Crypt in my deck. But a lot of my cards are low impact because I'm meant to like flood the board. Yeah, that's probably game. Just Fiery Temper on my Vault Scourge. Yeah. But I don't think there was a ton I could have done. I could have kept like one of my other hands, but they were pretty questionable. Like I could have kept the 4-card hand and had no lands. But I mean, I think the Bomat Courier potentially giving me an out. I don't know. There's not really a ton you can do when you mulligan so heavily. Oh no, this is where he really combos off. Good for him, I guess. Getting to live the dream. Whip Flare number 2 kills the second Steamkin. Could be an out. Yeah, this game's over. Like if he doesn't have another spell in his hand, I can eat the Swiftspear, but I mean, he's got a spell in his hand. He's got to, right? Okay, so that's 4, 7, 8, 9, and I don't have anything going on. Yep, we can't win this game. Anyway, that's going to do it for round 1. I hope you'll stay with me for round 2, where hopefully we don't mulligan so heavily. Hello, and welcome to Affinity Blast, round 2. We lost round 1, but this hand looks pretty strong, so we're going to keep, even though we are on the draw. We have a lot of our strong payoff cards. Looks like he's starting off with a Serum Visions. Ooh, Ether Vial. So probably playing against... This looks like Merfolk, but a weird Merfolk. Ether Vial is usually not played in... We're going to start off with Signal Pest here. It's usually not played in like a control deck. I mean, I don't think it's ever played in a control deck, so it's like Merfolk immediately comes to mind when I see a blue land, especially blue-white, because Merfolk sometimes does splash white. But more commonly, they're splashing green now, so... Remorseful Click. Oh, Spirits. Duh. Might be. Sorry, folks. Yeah, that's pretty obviously Spirits. Yep. Could be an interesting match. We're going to start off with Springleaf Drum, get the Steel Overseer into play, and then try to hold down his Spirits with our removal. Definitely a pretty nice hand for playing against a tribal deck because we can pick off the key pieces while growing our board with Steel Overseers, and he doesn't really have any removal spells. He has like some counter spell type things with Spell Quellers, but we can kill 2 Spell Quellers, so... Okay. A little bit less good, but we have to kill that immediately, so... Yeah. Just going to go for the Galvanic Blast to start things. Actually, let's just play this extra safe. We'll go for the Arcbound Worker first, because we do have the Springleaf Drum mana, regardless. Now we'll go for Galvanic Blast. If he does have... What could he have? Oh gosh, he has Phantasmal Image? Okay. So we let that resolve, and then in response to him sacrificing it, we cast it again. Whew, I was hoping he didn't have Phantasmal Image. We can't beat the Phantasmal Image there, so we're not going to play around it, but I'm glad he didn't have it. So we basically spent our 2 Galvanic Blasts to kill Selfless Spirit and draw Skull Captain, so we come up way ahead on mana there. And we got this guy into play, which worked pretty nicely with Steel Overseer. So we are going to activate the Steel Overseer. And then hit him for 1. So yeah, this is the beauty of Steel Overseer. Against decks without removal, like Spirits, it just does a ton of good work. And we still have a Shrapnel Blast for some surprise damage. I definitely think that I would rather control his board than go to the face. To be fair, I could have him... Maybe it was correct. I don't know. Hard to say. What would you have done? Would you have gone face? Because I feel like I'm at risk of dying if Drogskell Captain lives and he gets to put 2 into play like that. But maybe it's just better to just... I could have just killed him, so... Definitely an interesting one. Let me know what you would have done. Okay. So he has Spell Queller mana up. I'm going to start things off with a Vault Scourge, see if it resolves. It does. Interesting. Very interesting. Because now... I'm going to attack with the Signal Pest and Arcbound Worker. Hit him for 4, depending on if he blocks. Activate. Okay. And then I hold up my Shrapnel Blast. So he doesn't have a Spell Queller. He probably would have quelled the Vault Scourge. Maybe I was supposed to be more aggressive with the Galvanic Blast, but what I was really afraid of was double Drogskol Captain, because that just makes it like a huge threat. Because then this would be a 4/3. He would have had the Selfless Spirit was huge. I could have maybe killed him, maybe. I don't know. It's hard. I'm still learning the deck, of course. Because I saw this hand and I was like, wow, I can kill all of his stuff. But I could have just gone face and maybe killed him. So yeah, definitely something to keep in mind. Okay, I don't think Smash to Smithereens is good against just Aether Vial. Gear per Aether Grid, probably not great. It's a bit slow, though he could have Stony Silence. Whip Flare has potential, though it doesn't do well against Selfless Spirit or any of the Lords, so probably not the greatest. Etched Champion, not good. Welding Jar, pretty bad. Whip Flare is the only card that's really singing to me a little bit here. Welding Jar doesn't do much. Aether Grid doesn't do much. Do I want Whip Flare at all? That's the question. I think my game 1 plan is just probably good enough. So this kills Drogskol Captain. Plus whatever else he has. Whip Flare is close. Close. What would I take out for Whip Flare is the question. I'd probably shave 2 Ornithopters. Yeah, we're just gonna run it. Whip Flare doesn't kill too many of his creatures. It doesn't kill. Yeah, what's it called? Spell Queller. That's a big one that it doesn't kill. This hand doesn't really have a payoff. It's not even. So this is a hand that is like 5 spells, 2 lands, which is a pretty nice ratio, but it doesn't have any of our good spells, so we'd have to rely on drawing. Cranial Plating, Steel Overseer would be a great draw. So those are 8 of our cards. And other than that, we don't really have any good draws with this hand. So what are the odds? This is something you can always do yourself if you are on your computer. You can go to, just use a hypergeometric calculator. You don't want to just use the odds in your head because it's more complicated than that a lot of the time. Hypergeometric calculator. So we have 53 cards in our deck, so that's what we put for population size. Number of successes, we have 8. Sample size, we have our second turn draw step, and our third turn draw step. I mean, we really want to draw one by that point. So yeah, let's say we have 2 draws, and we only need 1 success. So it says we are looking at greater than or equal to 1. We have like a 30% chance. We're gonna mulligan. This is a keepable hand though. Put that on. We're not gonna be greedy. We're gonna put that on top. So Cranial Plating is one of our payoff cards, and we have a couple of those. So hopefully this hand shapes up. We're gonna start with a Springleaf Drum. This can lead to, yeah, it'll just lead to us being able to cast both of our 1 guys next turn. He could, we could cast them both either way, but I think it's more likely that he has, spells that can counter non-creatures than spells that can counter creatures. Interesting. Huh. Why would he cast the Mausoleum Wanderer instead of Aether Vialing it? Very interesting. Let's get our worker out. And our Signal Pest out. So he has another one. That makes sense. So against this hand, Whip Flare would have been nice, but I don't think it's good to side in overall. Mausoleum Wanderer is one of his medium cards against us. It's just good to have a 1-drop, but it's not too good as just a 1/1. It doesn't have a huge amount of power on its own. So we're not bringing in sideboard cards to stop Mausoleum Wanderer. We're much more scared of his lords, and one of his lords is a 2-mana 1/3, so that doesn't even die to Whip Flare. So he has a lot of spells in hand, it looks like. And I am definitely nervous. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Oh dear. Yeah, this is looking bad, guys. Because Mausoleum Wanderers can protect his stuff, and I can't pay, so he can just sacrifice a Mausoleum Wanderer to pay for this guy, so... Oh, Selfless Spirit. Okay, it's not... Oh, Lord. It's not a Lord. Perfect. Yeah, and the Whip Flare is bad against that card, too. That's another reason to keep it out. Ornithopter. Nice. We're going to cast the Ornithopter. This guy can be blocked. So, it's like... Maybe we're supposed to side out Signal Pest. But I don't have anything to bring in, so... Find the Cranial Plating. And then hit him for 1. I'm not planning on blocking with Ornithopter anyway, because the instant Speed Ether Vial is just going to eat it, presumably. But maybe I should have definitely like tapped the Signal Pest. Opponent's deep in the tank pre-combat. What 1-mana instant could he possibly have? Vapor Snag, perhaps? Definitely a tricky spot for me. I don't think I'm going to win this game. And I think that in most games I'm probably supposed to point the Galvanic Blast and Shrapnel Blast at the face. Just because my deck doesn't get the closing damage all that well. And I'm using a 4 damage spell on a 2/2 creature. I can probably race him if he starts to attack me with stuff. It's tricky though. Very tricky. Opponent is not having a good time over there. In the tank. They're probably trying to bait me into attacking with Signal Pest by making me like super bored so I don't like remember that I'm not attacking with it. Because this does have flying and it would just eat it for free. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 artifacts in play, so Cranial Plating is going to give one of my guys +5, +0. Probably the Signal Pest so it can start attacking. Yeah, opponent. But yeah. This deck's pretty cool. I think it's nice. It's cool that the deck is super cheap, while at the same time coming at the format from a pretty unique angle. Like, it doesn't play the same as Affinity plays out. Affinity has a lot of, like, fast starts. I guess it plays a similar way. But we don't have Mox Opal or, what's the guy that eats them? Arcbound Ravager. Those are the 2 cards that, like, this deck doesn't have that Affinity has, so... I mean, we definitely have a lot of the key pieces for Affinity. Especially with the Steel Overseer version. I wonder what opponent's thinking about. He probably just left his computer, to be quite honest. Not the greatest, but it happens. I'm just going to pause the video here, and I'll come back when he returns. Hello, welcome back. Funnily enough, the opponent came back right after I said goodbye last time, so pretty bizarre, but it's going to be okay. We're not going to win this game, I don't think. He just has to play like a Spirit, which he's going to be able to do because he has all spells in hand because he has been missing land drops. So like if he plays like a Drog Skull Captain here, we're taking 3, 6, 9. Yeah, and then we can't block any of his guys anyway, so... We could just be dead here if he plays another Lord in addition to that. Oh yeah, we're totally dead. 5-10. We're just gonna concede this game. Yikes. Yikes. Signal Pest is bad in this matchup. But I don't know what else we bring in. I guess we do bring in Whip Flares. And I guess we'll keep in 2. We don't have any better thing, but Signal Pest is really bad here. This is a keep. This is a solid hand. Bomat Courier, you're going to get some cards under it. I don't know why I played the cards the way I did. For some reason, I always think Springleaf Drum costs 0 mana, which it doesn't. So definitely messed that one up. Poor sequencing there. The one thing that I need to do in this deck is just play Springleaf Drum before I play my. Alright, but oh, so he's got another Ether Vial start. Smash to Smithereens would have been better than Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna get max punished for this play. We're gonna play Cranial Plating, obviously, but we could have equipped the Cranial Plating if we had played it right. So instead of getting in for 1 damage, we'd be getting in for 3 damage extra. So yeah, we're gonna lose because of our sequencing on turn 1. Pretty important to remember that Springleaf Drum does cost 1 mana. I'm so used to just casting Springleaf Drum and then immediately like using it for mana, so that I always just assume it costs 0. Like that's why I think it costs 0 in my head, because it's like I'm gonna use Springleaf Drum to cast a 1-drop, so it's a 1 mana spell that costs like cast my 1-drops. Oh gosh, opponent's mana not happy with him. Okay, so we're gonna have to take a slightly suboptimal line here, but that's okay. We're gonna go the Springleaf Drum. We're going to equip this here, and then when he brings in the Mausoleum Wanderer off of the Ether Vial, path. Yikes. Well then. Definitely not going to get rid of this stellar hand. Yeah, I'd like to get a land. If he trades a Mausoleum Wanderer for this, it's not the end of the world, but maybe he doesn't have any. Oh, perfect. Perfect. We actually just have lethal next turn, maybe, depending on our draw. Ooh, baby. He doesn't really run any counter spells, so other than Spell Quellers, I don't think so. We could really get him. Remorseful Cleric, sure. Oh, yes. We're just going to... Do we even attack? Yeah, we attack. I messed this up. We only have 2 artifacts in play. Okay. Yep. I've definitely not sequenced this game perfectly, but opponent's going to eventually probably tap out. Also, even if he doesn't tap out, eventually we can just work through a Spell Queller. because we can cast Shrapnel Blast and then cast Shrapnel Blast again on our next turn or whatever. Because he can't hold up 6 mana. I mean, I guess he could have Ether Vial up, but eventually he's going to have to cast spells, so. And if we draw a land, we can just cast double Shrapnel Blast anyway. Okay, Supreme Phantom, and then Ether Vial holding up his stuff. I guess attacking with Memnite was really bad, because we would have just been able to do so much more. Okay, let's just do this. Test the waters, as they say. Sure. What's it going to be? Got him. I hope he didn't bring in Spell Pierce. Boom! We got the win. Let's go. Beating Bant Spirits. I guess it was just blue-white spirits. I didn't see any green, so I don't know why I've been saying Bant this entire time. But, man, that's pretty clutch. Man, managed to get that game win despite some pretty bad misplays. Yeah, the deck's pretty cool, and yeah, I hope you'll join me for round 3. Hello, everybody, and welcome to round 3 with Affinity Blast in Modern. We are on the play here. Our hand is kind of sketchy, but this Steel Overseer makes me want to keep. If we hit another land, we can play the Steel Overseer. Otherwise, we can pretty much play anything we draw. Our Galvanic Blast is going to be on from turn 1, so... And we are on the draw, so... hitting a second land is a little bit higher likelihood. We also could get a Springleaf Drum. Okay, so it looks like we are going to hit the land here. We're going to start off with the Vault Scourge. Start that life drain rolling, and we're going to play both Memnites because they can attack in for that sweet, sweet damage. So pretty fast start here for our deck. Steel Overseer really looking good. Yeah, I definitely think it's an upgrade to the deck if you're playing online. Oh yes, opponent's playing Search for Azcanta. He could definitely have a Path to Exile for our Steel Overseer, but if he doesn't, then we pretty much just win, and we do have a backup Steel Overseer now, so that's good. And we want to get it in now before he has any counter mana up. So yeah, now he pretty much has to have like Path to Exile. We're never attacking with our Steel Overseer, so yeah. Opponent looks like they're playing blue-white control. I like their basic land choice. The pretty lands, like the sunflowers. Clearly put some thought into it. I put some thought into mine. I kind of like it. Okie doke. Yes, we would like to get a mountain from our deck. So they did have the path, which is unfortunate. And they're building towards a board sweeper of some kind. Okay, so we can either play Steel Overseer, or we can play Plating. Does have 2 mana up, but not logic, not mana. It's like remand mana. I think we're going to go for the Steel Overseer. And then we'll hold the Arcbound Worker in our hand to help us rebuild from a board sweeper, maybe. Ouch! That was brutal. Huh. I think we actually are going to go for it. If we just hit the Cranial Plating is going to give like +2/+0. It's not going to do a ton. If we don't have any creatures, our Galvanic Blast won't do anything anymore. So if he has a board sweeper, I think we just lose, but I don't think we can win if he has a board sweeper, just by the nature of the way our deck is. Dang, that was a savage Spell Snare. Oh no. Oh dear. That was quite bad. Oh no. Now he'll probably have another counterspell. Nope, no counterspell. Dang, that was really bad. Yup. And now he has 7 cards for search for his Kanta. Yeah, this game's over. If I'd saved the worker, though, I don't think I was going to have a chance anyway. Now that our Kanta's flipped, I can pretty much concede. Yeah, I'm going to concede. This game is not going to go my way. That was just a combination of a variety of things there. So Gear per Ether Grid is good in this matchup. Etched Champion isn't very good because he can just get Terminus. Welding Jar doesn't protect against a ton of stuff. I think the deck's already pretty decent against control. We're just going to shave an Ornithopter for a Gear per Ether Grid. And run it like that, because Ornithopter is one of our lowest impact cards. That seems good. I would like to play first. Ouch. This hand is very rough. Does have the grid. I think we're going to keep it. I think grid is good enough to make this keepable. Also, our land actually is like a creature. We're going to start off with Vault Scourge. Not actually going to play the Ornithopter yet. There's no reason to. Oh, he kept Ancestral Vision in. Interesting. Get in for some damage. Huh. Okay. So he's off to a very slow start, but I haven't had any good cards to punish him. I think a Steel Overseer on the play is just really good against him, probably. Cast this. Gonna get my Signal Pest down. If he Miracles a Terminus, I'm just accepting my defeat here. Still a couple turns away from the Ancestral Vision. I wonder what percentage of games they flip a Terminus. Like, probably like 10% of games? I don't know. Timely Reinforcements. Definitely a little annoying. All my guys are unblockable by Timely, though, which is pretty nice. Okay, I'm going to play another Blink Moth. Then we're going to... I think I just want to animate the Blink Moth. I don't need the Gear per Ether Grid right now. Cancel. I think this is the one that I had. Hopefully that one can attack. So I'm going to go to combat. Attack with everything. Get in all of the damage that I can. That was a pretty big attack. I hit him for 6. A couple more like that, and it's going to be game. To be fair, though, he could have like Wrath of God at some point. Next turn, it's 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 damage, putting him to 6. Then maybe Gear per Grid can tune things up. Ooh. Holding up Settle the Wreckage mana is scary. You know what I'm going to do? I think I'm just going to attack with my normal guys and keep back my Blink Moth. I think that's going to be the play. Because he can just Field of Ruin anyway, and this way I get to get down my... Okay, so he doesn't have it. Feels bad, man. Okay, so I'm getting in for 3. I'm going to deploy my Ether Grid. Not knowing what's exactly in his deck is really annoying. Ether Grid. Float a mana. Get Mountain. Use that mana to play my Springleaf Drum. This way I can cast Galvanic Blast in addition to pinging him for 1. So yeah, that worked out. So he is drawing 3 cards this turn. But I'm going to start pinging him for 1 damage a turn. In addition to this Galvanic Blast might be good enough. Keep in mind I also have Shrapnel Blast in my deck, so that could be a lethal factor at some point. Okay, okay. Ping him for 1. Cast this. I actually don't have to attack with Blink Moth. I can just use it to ping him. So I think I'm going to do that instead. It'll also become another artifact, so my Galvanic Blast can be more threatening. Detention Sphere. What's it going to name? Probably Kirapur Aether Grid. Okey-doke. Oh, no! Ouch. Sometimes they just have it. I'm going to go for the Galvanic Blast now. I'm not going to be targeting anything other than his face, and this is a good opportunity to use it. Oh, that's so rough. Man, double timely reinforcements. That's pretty good. Just the 6 life is kind of really good against this deck. And that's probably game. Oh yeah, definitely game. People might be saying, like, why didn't you save Galvanic to kill Jace? But, like, it doesn't matter because he can just do... First of all, he can just bait seal me. And second of all, I don't even know if he left it on top. I think I'm just going to... Oh yeah, I'm just going to concede. There's no way I win this game. Brutal game, though. Jeez. He had a lot of stuff to win that match. He had the Terminus in game 1. I mean, it's not stuff that's, like, unexpected, but it's just, like, it all added up. But anyway, that's going to do it for round 3. I hope you'll stick with me for round 4. Hello, 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 and welcome to round 4 with Affinity Blast, Mono Red Affinity. Keeping a gorgeous hand, it looks like. This time we are going to sequence our Springleaf Drum correctly. We are on the play with a very fast hand. I like it a lot. Potentially turn 2 equipping Planial Grading. Did I just say Planial Grading? I think I did. Pretty bad, but I think we're in good shape. Just remember, play your Springleaf Drum because it doesn't cost 0. It just acts as if it costs 0. I know that may sound silly, but to me it's something I messed up earlier. Opponent deciding whether to mulligan. exactly is this creature? Where's its head? Does it have a head? Reminders of Memnarch's reign still scur. What is this scurring? Across Mirrodin, reminiscent of his form, if not his power. Okay. Good to know. This is a pretty explosive start. Boom. We deployed 4 cards on turn 1. Nice. We do have red mana in the form of our Springleaf Drum. But hopefully we'll be able to equip up a cranial. I almost said it again. Cranial plating on turn 2. If we draw a land. Looks like he's got a Fatal Push for our Bomat Courier. Or a Lightning Bolt. Or Thoughtseize for a cranial plating, which would be bad. Ah. Yikes. Okay, so we get to go drum. Worker. Maybe that's really stupid. Yeah, that's probably really bad. I don't know. I just want to make sure I just want to empty my hand so my Bomat Courier can do stuff, but he's probably just going to discard a bunch of cards to kill my whole board. Yeah, maybe that was just really bad. Playing the Arcbound Worker, I mean, like, yeah. Probably best to just deploy the Cranial Plating that turn. Though, to be fair, I think I'm discarding my hand, so... You win some, you lose some. Not that these cards are bad, but that they're not good against Dredge. Okay, so... Yeah, I think I have to discard my hand. I can't do anything without creatures. I guess that's the argument for keeping this guy in my hand. Actually, I think Cranial Plating is actually pretty fine. I'm just going to animate this guy so I can put a counter on him. And then just hope to draw like a land. I think Cranial Plating is good enough, especially with double Springleaf Drum. Back to the races, as they say. Bomat Courier coming back. Not sure what I was supposed to do there. I think playing the Arcbound Worker was almost definitely a mistake. But getting the counter on the land isn't that bad. So what did they mill? Oh dear. Oh, this is quite bad. This is not good for me at all. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, not liking my odds here. I sense a Bloodghast in my future. Okay. Okay. I like it. Get that Steel Overseer rolling. Not sure how good it's going to be. Though the fact that all of his Narcomoebas are out of his deck is kind of nice from the perspective of... wow, he only has 1 Dredge card left. Oh no. That was a really good Dredge. Oh no. Prized Amalgam is coming back for me. Cast Loam, get back a land, get back Bloodghast, end me. Oh no. Oh no. I'm just gonna concede. This game's over. Okay, we have our Tormod's Crypt for this post-board game. I do not think Dredge is a good matchup, though. We're gonna bring in the Tormod's Crypt. And bring in the... No, we're not bringing in Whip Flare. I think we just bring in the Tormod's Crypts. Not the Welding Jars, either. We'll just bring in Tormod's Crypts. Cut down on some... I mean, Dredge doesn't have all that much interaction. It's got some. We're just gonna cut down... Let's just cut down 2 Arcbound Workers and 2 Memnites. I would like to play first. Mulligan. Keep. I mean, we have a Tormod's Crypt. We kind of have to keep that. Other than that, the hand is not spectacular. He is on a mulligan himself, though. We're going to bottom that. Certainly not spectacular. We get our Vault Scourge. I don't think we play the Tormod's Crypt. I think we bait him a little bit. Maybe we can... he'll go like Faithless Looting on turn 1. Put 2 Dredge cards. Oh no, okay. Certainly casting the Ornithopter here. And yeah, I'll cast the Tormod's Crypt now. Never know how useful it'll be. Maybe just stopping, depending on what he mills with Shriekhorn, it could be quite good for me to have that there. Golgari Charm. Oh no, that card destroys me. Okay, upkeep. Please don't hit a Dredger. Yeah, we gotta. It might seem premature, but he also has Conflagrate, which destroys us. And yep, pretty much. Now he doesn't really have a graveyard, so it's gonna be harder for him to get stuff in the graveyard to start with. I don't know. I'm not experienced in the Dredge matchup, but I feel like we can't really beat a Conflagrate if he has one in the yard. And this could maybe like put him behind if he doesn't have a good way like to get stuff into the graveyard. I don't know. Like obviously if he goes land, Cathartic Reunion, I can't really respond to that anyway. Okay, Faithless Looting. That's not great. But at least he's not using it to dredge a ton. Okay, so he got life from the loam into the graveyard. Create a token. We make that into a creature. Equip to this guy. Attack for 6 lifelink. Oh no. Lightning Bolt. Oh no, not Lightning Bolt. Oh no, wait. Oh. Well, that sucks. Was it better to just play the other Cranial Plating? I feel like getting in the damage now is really nice, but maybe. It was better to just play the other Cranial Plating there. Oh, gosh. That was... Yeah, this matchup is impossible to win. Just straight up. Yeah, just all the artifact kills and... Yeah, this is, not winnable. I'm just gonna concede. Okie doke. Well, that was round 4. Hope to dodge Dredge with this deck. But anyway, we're gonna be back for round 5. Hello, 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 and welcome to round 5 with Mono Red Affinity, also known as Affinity Blast. This hand is great, though. Oh, yes. Keeping this one. Double Signal Pest, thank you very much. Definitely want to get those down early. Ooh, against humans. A very highly played deck, so it'll be cool to see how it matches up. Oh my gosh. This hand is excellent. Humans don't have any interaction for our Steel Overseer, so we're definitely going to deploy that on turn 2. I mean, they have Reflector Mage, but that doesn't count to the same degree. Oh man, please play Kitesail Freebooter. Oh, Thalia, that doesn't do anything either. Steel Overseer, Mem Knight. Attack with these two guys, get in that point of damage. Oh yes, this is going to be a fun one for sure. If he doesn't have Reflector Mage, I think it's probably just over. Because this was a quite strong hand. Oh, yeah. Oh, poor opponent. Poor opponent. Oh, this is not what you want to see. Whiffing with your freebooter. I've got a Steel Overseer with 3, 4, 5, 7 creatures. Oh, no, opponent. I'm so sorry. Oh, you definitely don't want to attack with Thalia. Oh, and then there's just the Shrapnel Blast. No problem. And we don't actually have huge attacks this turn, but next turn it's going to be great. So we can attack with the Ornithopter and Signal Pest to get in 1 point of damage. Let's just put the counter on now. Actually, yeah, it's 3 points of damage. Flying or reach, so he can block with the freebooter. And Ornithopter will get him for 2. Oh, opponent. This is not going to go your way. Look at how many creatures we have. They're all artifact creatures. I mean, if he has Reflector Mage, then it might be a little bit closer. But, I mean, even the Vault Scourge in the air is going to be hard for him. He just concedes. He concedes the match! He's like, I'm done with this. Wow, that's so great. Oh my gosh. Well, anyway, that is going to do it for Mono Red Affinity, also known as Affinity Blast. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, remember to hit that thumbs up and subscribe to get updates for whenever I post new content. Be sure to let me know in the comments what you think of the deck, what you think of how I played, my sideboarding choices. I'm sure that there was a couple, I'm sure I made mistakes is what I'm going to say because I haven't really played the deck all that much, but I still hope you found it useful. Still hope you like the deck, and it's pretty cheap, so I highly recommend you try it out if it looks fun. So yeah, that is going to do it. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you next time.